want this first one? All right, well, here, you gave it to me, so I'll take it. All right, so first we're going to answer some questions about uniforms. So our colors are red, navy, white, or gray, and so when we're thinking about our polos that we want students to be wearing, those are our colors. Those polos do have to have the approved ALA logo on them. It is either screen printed. I think some of them are embroidered, but it's not required to be embroidered. Some of them are screen printed. Boys must tuck in shirts with belts, and those uniforms, I think Ray just mentioned this, can be ordered, additional ones on the apparel website. We did actually we are going to be getting an apparel shop link specifically for our Johnston location. And that should be coming out either tomorrow or early next week. We're going to send that. So those will be specific for us. For bottoms, khaki, navy, black, or gray bottoms. Skirts and shorts must be knee length, tucked in shirts and belts for boys. We just said that. If you're wearing the long pant joggers, they can't be sweatpant style, but they can be the khaki looking ones that have a drawstring there. In that case, you would not have to have a belt, but normal khaki pants would need to be tucked in with the belt for boys. Leggings, tights, things of that nature for girls that are wearing skirts. If it's cold outside and they want to wear tights under that, they can do that, but they do need to be solid colored and match with the theme of the uniform. So we don't want lime green, tights and leggings, or polka dotted or any of those things. But they can be under their skirts. Twill joggers, yes, are appropriate. And the bottoms do not have to be purchased from the uniform shop. They are available through the uniform shop, but they are not required to be bought from there. If you're going to buy them from a retailer, that is totally fine. Just make sure that they match all the requirements for the bottoms. Okay? Sizes. So we have youth and adult sizes. We have the dry fit style and we have the interlock style that's more of a cotton style. The prices for those are there. The dry fit is $12.50 and the interlock is $13.50 for youth. Adult is $16 for the dry fit and $15 for the interlock. And then Friday shirts. So Friday shirts, and I think we talk about this, Friday attire is what we'll wear on Fridays. So it does still have to be an ALA approved shirt, which means it has something ALA on it. And we have Friday shirts, approved Friday shirts is what I'm trying to say, that are going to be available on the apparel shop. So they can wear those on Fridays along with jeans. However, the jeans cannot have holes in them. Even if they have holes in them, they can't have leggings or tights underneath it, or, we're not putting duct tape on the holes. Just good, clean pants with no holes in them would be great. Shoe restrictions. So sandals must have a back on them, no Crocs, and no slippers to school. And then we're looking to send out that Johnston specific apparel shop. I wrote tomorrow. That's the goal, if not by very early next week. All right. Last thing on dress code. These are just some pieces that didn't pertain specifically to clothing, but still deal with dress code. We want natural hair colors, so we don't want to have bright green colored hair and, bright blue colored hair. One earring per lobe, no facial piercings, and boys' hair off the ears and off the collar, and out of the eyes without assistance of a hair tie, no buns or ponytails. Would you like to elaborate on any of those things, Mr. Turley?
One thing that the boys try to do is they get an elastic band and put on their hair so that it's off their ears, and we don't allow that. So it's how it has to fall naturally. Also, I can tell when a boy needs a haircut when I walk by the hallways and he's going like this. So it has to be out of their eyes, and it has to be there naturally, or with products stay there naturally.
My son has to flip his back, so I'm saying we're getting a haircut when you got to flip it back. Okay? Oh, there you go.
Backpacks. We've had some questions. Do we allow rolling backpacks? And we do allow backpacks. They do not have to be clear. They just have to be, you don't have to have a backpack. Most of our books are digital, and so there's not a lot of books that they will be carrying in a backpack. So pretty much it's going to be a folder or a notebook, and then they can also put a jacket or a lunch box or have that separate also. So we do allow backpacks. Those are acceptable. They just can't have anything on them that would be inappropriate. Also, we've been asked if we have lockers. The only lockers that we have are in the high school locker room for athletes, and so most of the apparel will have to be put back in their backpacks as they are in PE. And they will be dressing out for PE, and there is a specific dress code for that. It is blue or black shorts, and it's either a white or gray top. And it can't have any branding on it that's larger than 3 inches. The elementary schools do not have athletics for their special. They won't have to dress out for their special, just the high school. Okay.
All right, teacher assignments. So we are heavy in the hiring process, and we are excited that we have approximately 80% of our staff who we've recommended to be hired, and it's been really a pleasure just getting to meet some really great applicants. So we've been excited about that. Our webpage, we're not going to update that with our staff and staff list until we get that completed, just because right now there could be so many changes. We don't want to put things up there that are changing constantly. And so when we get that completed, then we will put those things on the webpage for you to see. We will not have a typical school counselor in our K-6 building. We do have an academic advisor in our 712 building. And we also have a dean of behavior who's going to be there to support that as well. So definitely we have the people for the resources, but not specifically a school counselor like you may be used to seeing at some of your public schools. For our elementary class rosters, we are in the process of putting those together. However, we will probably we will not release those until later in the summer as it gets closer to the school year of exactly who your child's teacher will be. Class rosters for junior and high school, however, we will be sending out in the near future a, class placement list, just to make sure that the electives that we have your kids in are the ones that work for them, and but that will not be their official class schedule. That actual class schedule will not be published until right before the school year starts. Teacher certifications. We had some questions about whether or not our teachers have to be certified. All of our teachers must have a master's degree, and I'm in a bachelor's degree. I apologize. See, maybe they should. No, I'm kidding. They have to have at least a bachelor's degree. The state requires for charter schools to have at least 50% of our staff be certified, and so that is our rule. However, if our teachers do not have their teaching certification yet, we do want them to be in the process of getting that, and they do have to be highly qualified. That's an ALA and Charter 1 rule. So even if we have teachers that are not certified yet, they are working towards that. Teacher assistants. We will not have a teacher assistant as of right now in every single lower grades classroom. At this time, we have 2 slated for kindergarten, for specifically kindergarten, and then 1 additional one that we haven't decided exactly where we're going to put that yet, but that is where we're at this time. Can we come back to that? Let's come back to questions just so that we can get through everything, and then if we have specific questions, we can ask either afterwards or out there. Will that work? Thank you.
So as we enroll students into classes, there's always those that at the last minute decide to go elsewhere, or they move, or they didn't get busing and they needed busing. So right now we're targeting between 25 and 30 on the lower grades and 28 to 30 at the upper grades, but that will change as students give up their place and we can put other students in there. But we wanted to let you know that we do have a target amount for students in those classes. The lower ones will have fewer students and the upper ones will have more. But then there's other classes that could have more students than that and then fewer students than that. For example, we can put more students in a PE class. And then for some of the AP classes, those would have fewer students in those classes. But that was one of the questions that were asked, so I wanted to address that. Right now we have enough interest in almost all the classes that we have, so almost all the electives are going to make, it looks like at this point. But if that happens, then they will go to their second choice if their first choice didn't make, or that first choice is full already. Someone asked if we are going to enroll students into North Carolina's virtual school, and we're only going to use that if we need it. Those would be for students by chance who they are not going to graduate in time unless they fill some background classes that they may not have had, or if they want to move ahead in their classwork and take some college classes and move forward at that point. But we're only going to use those on an as-need basis.
All righty. And just really, really quickly, I see some people standing on the back wall and also some people into the kind of going into the doors there. There are some free seats up here kind of toward the front. If anybody wants to migrate up this way, I just wanted you to know that they are up here. So don't be scared to walk up here and have a sit if you would like. Grading. So we will use a 10-point scale. So there it is there. And that will begin in kindergarten. So just your 90 to 100 will be an A, and then there are the rest there. There is a weighted grading scale, and I'm going to say in the 712 building, and those are the percentages there for how that will pan out with assessments, quizzes, and what everything will be weighted. Ray, will you explain the no extra credit?
We didn't want to fluff a grade, and so there is no extra credit that's allowed because we truly want to see what the student is getting rather than what they're going to be making if they do some extra stuff or bring in something for class. We do allow retakes on test, and so that's why there is no extra credit, because they are able to do retakes on test. They also can do corrections on test also, so that's the alternative choice for extra credit is we do let them retake test, but there are some parameters like that the teachers can set up. Like, for example, if you haven't turned in any homework for that unit, you probably will not be able to retake the test because there's some work that you needed to do on your part to allow you to take those retests. So there is no extra credit allowed. Nope. Question is, are we using a lot of computers? And that was a lot of questions that we have, but our homework is paper-based. We have to have the assumption that a lot of parents do not have internet access, and so that's the assumption that we're going to make. So the homework will be paper-based. Parents ask how long will they have to do homework at night, and it will be grade appropriate. Obviously, kindergartens will have fewer minutes of homework, where the 10th graders will have more homework time that they're going to have to spend. For the high school students, if they're spending more than an hour doing homework, then that's not appropriate. And please call me and let me know. So it is appropriate by grade level, okay? All our textbooks should be digital, and so that's the one thing that they are. They're digital. If parents need to have something printed out, then that's a communication between the parent and the teacher saying, I don't have access, can you print this out for me?
All right, buses and transportation. So we will do a central location pickup and drop off. We will not have individual routes. At this time, we have 4 buses. There will be a limited number of seats on the buses, and we are in the process of trying to figure out which are the places that that's going to be and where those drop-off and pickup locations will be. They will run before and after school. We will have a separate Facebook page for carpool. If you want to kind of coordinate carpool with people that go, you can coordinate that there. And if your student drives, they will be able to drive and park on campus this year. But they must have a driver's license, so we can't give them a parking permit if they're going to get their driver's license in 5 months. That parking pass is $40. And if you are interested in that central location bus pickup and you have not let us know yet, this is Jessica Ennis, our registrar for the 712 building. You can email her and let her know that you're interested in bus pickup. Do you want to add anything to that?
Also, we should be determining that hopefully in the next week and a half where those drop-offs will be, because I know a lot of parents are making a decision based on that. And so that way you can make arrangements if you need to find carpool with someone or if a neighbor can take them. So we're working on that because I know a lot of parents are waiting for that decision, and that should be probably in the next week and a half. No, that's good. Just reading here. We are getting IEPs slowly coming through, and as we get those, we have our district IEP coordinator looking through those and determining what placement and what program they should be in, also how many minutes they need in those different programs. And so we are working on that. Shortly, we will know what different kind of programs we need and the different kind of students that we have with those needs and the programs. So we don't know right now how many level A or B or C we have, but we will know shortly as more of those get processed through us. And that determines If we're going to have inclusion classes, that's where the students attend the regular ed classes and then go somewhere else for pull-in minutes. So that will be determined here shortly, but we have to go through those IEPs first. So if you have not sent in your IEPs, you should be getting contacted by our registrar, and please send those in as soon as you get them.
Yes, I would just reiterate, and if you have not already sent your IEP in or your 504 plan, go ahead and send that in to us. The quicker that we have it, the quicker we can start to make plans. Somebody was asking specifically about if our special ed kids will be included in field trips and things like that. And yes, they will be included. If there is special equipment that a student needs that we can accommodate for, our teachers will have training in those things. And then gifted students, in our K-6 building, we're going to have a combination of teacher differentiation and pull out for those students. We are looking to possibly have an AIG teacher there. And what did I write there? We will look at core. Oh, and for the 712 building, someone had asked if the honors and AP classes that they've taken will count, and yes, they will. We look at all that as they're coming in, along with their report cards to make those selections. So there we go.
Also, if your student previously was in honors classes, that's just going to transfer over into the classes that we have here. If your student was not in honors classes, that's just an email, and we can look at that, look at the grades and percentage. And then we also test twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, for gifted placement and for honors placement. We had a question that our spring break does not align with some of the other springs break in the area. What we're doing is keeping all of the North Carolina ALA schools together, and so we're all taking spring break at the same time. So that may differ a little bit from the neighboring schools around us, but as a charter, we are taking a spring break at the same time, so that may be different. That's it. Okay, but that calendar is posted on our webpage. It's under calendars. That's why he's my boss.
It is also on the newsletter that you should have just received at the very bottom. There are links down at the bottom, and that school calendar is there as well. All right, lunch. We had lots and lots of questions about lunch. I'm excited about lunch because I got to go to Arizona and eat lunch from Sodexo, and it was delicious. So at this time, we are not currently a Title I school. In order to be a Title I school, you have to have at least 30% of your population be free or reduced lunch to qualify for that. And at this time, we are not that. Free and reduced lunch options will be determined once we receive paperwork from families requesting free and reduced lunch. If we do not qualify as a Title I school, and if there is no additional COVID assistance programs, however, we are not going to be able to provide free lunches. So those are the two qualifications to be able to do that. For our food service company, we are using a company called Sodexo. Mostly they have frozen foods, but they are from a nationwide company. So we are not ordering from local restaurants. We're not going to bring in Chick-fil-A on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It'll be cooked right there in-house every day, fresh and hot. They include yummy things like pizza and chicken tenders and corn dogs and hamburgers and salads and buffalo chicken and burritos, and they've got really delicious cookies. And when you go outside today into the lobby, they actually have a table out there, and so that is the typical meal. It is not food allergy safe, so if your child has a food allergy, they will need to bring their own lunch. There are I think the Sodexo table, our representative has some sample menus out there if you'd like to look at those today. And we do not have microwaves for our students to use to heat food. So heat it up before they come, put it in a thermos, do all those things for lunch. The basic combo is about $4, and then there are our a la carte options that will make that price either go up or down for your kiddos. So those are our lunch things.
Some questions about extracurricular activities. So asking about clubs and stuff. The only kind of clubs that we have on campus would be academic clubs. So this is some examples of those. So in 7th and 8th grade, we're going to have a National Junior Honor Society. And then in the upper grades, we're going to have National Honor Society. In the lower grades, we plan on having some kind of academic club, like for example, Beta Club. We just haven't decided which one to do because there's pros and cons of each one there. We did send out a survey in newsletter 4 that asked what kind of clubs or activities would your students be interested in. And we're getting lots of suggestions. And I just want to say, but any club on campus has to be academic based. And so a lot of those are not possible that you suggested, but we appreciate the input on that. And that's in the planning process. Also, we have to have teachers that would be willing to sponsor that too. For a lot of those, we'd have to have facilities that we would be able to use to sponsor those. So those are in the works as we get closer to school and see teachers who would be interested in sponsoring such clubs.
Alrighty, I guess this is continuation of that. Yes. So when you go out there tonight, there will be a piece of paper that you will see that will have 4 big QR codes on them. And those QR codes are going to take you to a survey or some type of important information. One of those QR codes is that survey that Ray was just talking about. So if you have not already done that and you're in the K6 building, then please do that tonight. And just to reiterate what Mr. Turley said there, we had lots of suggestions. We love that. We want your input, but just please do remember that we can only do what we have people to do. But we did just want to have a good starting place to know what are people interested in. So thank you for filling that out. If you have not done that, you can do that tonight. The athletic facilities are in the process of being built. Someone asked, would they be built this year? Yes, they will. We will have a track and football field there on campus. Baseball fields and softball fields we're going to use facilities off campus. Yes, we will have sports this fall. So that's exciting. Someone asked specifically about equestrian, because I know we kind of spoke about that in some of our information meetings, and we are not going to have that this year at this time. That does not mean that we won't ever. It just means not right now. As we become more established and kind of really get rooted here and find out what it is that our area wants and needs, then we can have conversations about what we want to add additionally. But for this year, we're going to stick to those basic things that we know we can do, and we'll add things later. If you have, no one has probably done that yet. So we do have a sports table out there tonight. So stop by there and ask questions about sports. At this time, some people were asking about 6th grade athletics. At this time, we are going to focus on our 7th and 8th graders for athletics. And then for our K6, we might have some opportunities for some intramural sports, and those things were captured in that survey that we were speaking about earlier. Would you like to say anything additional about sports?
So we are going to have a JV team. Since we do not have juniors on our campus, they don't allow us to have a varsity team. So all our high school teams will be JV. And we are looking into different kind of activities to have for the 5-6 intramural program, and we're looking into that. So we're not going to forget the 6th graders and 5th graders, but we're looking into intramurals that we can have. Yeah, at least it could be on our own campus, playing different B team and C team and D team as we form those. But as far as the junior high teams, we're going to focus on the athletes in 7th and 8th grade. Instead of using 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're going to focus those on 7th and 8th. And if we do need that, then we could possibly go down to the 6th grade level to fill those teams. As we look at the interest, and that's why we sent out that survey, it looks like we have plenty of interest in the following areas, and I'll just let you read those. We also have enough interest to have the 3 bottom there, but we just don't have facilities, and so that will be phone calls that we're making to see if local facilities will allow us to use their courts and golf course and swim. Yep. Fees. We are not requiring any fees at all for courses or for anything except for just parking. The only fees that we would then incur at that point is if you broke something, there would be a fee associated with that. But as far as classes and courses, all those are free. The only difference with that is, like, if a team wants to put together a spirit bag, that would be an additional fee because that's not part of the uniform, or like a hat, I'm not going to turn that back in, okay? So those kind of things would be a cost that the family would take on.
All right, our student schedules. So our School hours. We had lots of questions about that. At this time, our school hours are 8 to 3. As it stands now, everybody will start and end at the same time for both buildings. The way that would change is if we met with DOT and we had cars spilling out onto 70 highway, that is not kosher, so we might have to stagger the times at that point. If we did that, it would be by as short a time as possible. Our goal is to keep the times as close as possible that makes sense and that we can realistically get people in and out, because we know that one of the benefits to come into ALA is to have everybody in one place. So if I've got to wait hours upon hours to take one kid back and forth, that kind of defeats that purpose. So that would be the goal, to be able to keep those times as close as possible together if we had to change them. If we have a half days will start, we'll release at 1:30. Carpool, we're going to have teachers on campus by 7:30. I imagine the carpool will begin letting out sometime shortly after that. We have not planned exactly what time, and part of that's going to have to do with that conversation about whether or not we need to stagger time. So I don't want to give specific times yet, and then those times have to change. But that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of time frames. Before and after school care, if you have been to any of our information meetings or seen anything on our newsletters, you know that we are partnering with Innovation Learning, which is an after school care and before school care program. It's not like well, I shouldn't say typical, that's not very nice. It is an after school program that promotes hands-on learning and is really kind of keeping them engaged. It's not like they're just going there to babysit. It is a program that is time and energy is put into to really make it something special. It will begin at 6:30, and then pickup will be for that at 6 o'clock. There's a flyer on the newsletter for prices for that. Registration for that will happen as we get closer to, and that is kind of a separate deal, so you'll pay them. You won't be paying us to go there. Currently, we do not have before and after school care options for our 7-12 students. Innovation Learning is specifically for kindergarten through 6th grade. For our junior and high school, those students will have 7 classes a day. They'll be 50 minutes long. For our elementary school classes, they will be with the same teacher all day. So we are self-contained. They will have specials classes, which we'll have a slide for here in just a moment. But they'll be with their same teacher all day long. We don't departmentalize. All of our teachers will teach all subjects in our K-6 building. Absent policy, somebody asked about absences. That policy is in detail in our student handbook there. So if you want specific details, you can look for that. But in terms of absences, you will need a note to have excused absences and things of that nature. Do we need to say anything else specific about absences?
Yes, someone asked more specifically about, can I just write one note for the whole year and excuse my kids if they're going to be gone every single Wednesday? And the answer to that is no. We need to have physical proof every time that your student leaves the campus. That I need some physical, that could be in an email, that could be in person, but we do need those excused with some physical thing that we can store or keep as a record. So that was to answer one of those questions. Obviously, we have to be in school so many days in order to be either promoted or in order to receive credit, especially for high school. So we do follow those policies, but we do have some exceptions if you're going to be gone longer than that. And all you need to do is call the school individually saying, I have something up and I'm going to be gone for a week or whatever. We can give you more information about that. Question about, are we a one-to-one with computers? And we are not. Someone said, how much screen time are we going to have in the classrooms with a monitor? And we are not a bring your own device to school, so the devices will be provided by the school themselves. And one is that for security, because the only way we can get through the internet is by logging into one of our own Chromebooks. And so that's why we don't allow bring your own devices. The teachers have computers on carts called cows. And those will rotate between the teachers as they need them for their classes. Those computers are used as a resource rather than an instructional tool. So they're not all day on front of the computer learning. We just use those as a resource. They do need a Google login in order to access that internet. One is so that we have a program called Go Guardian. It lets me know anytime a student goes in anything that we have words that flag us, anything that would do with anything inappropriate for school, anything that has with threats, suicide, those all come up in our Go Guardian. And so I know exactly what the students are looking at, and that would be a phone call to the parents at that point. But we do have safe, secure software and internet. So I knew a parent was saying, what software to use to keep my child safe? And I've been using that program for the last 7 years, and it is very safe. And with the Go Guardian, we know exactly where they're going every single stroke. We don't allow phones during the school day. Those have to be kept inside backpacks. And so I should tell you, it's amazing to see high school kids sit in a cafeteria talking one-on-one. It's just amazing. And I've been to other schools where no one's looking up, they're all playing their games, they all have their earphones in, and they aren't interacting with each other. So I definitely don't let them have their phones out during lunchtime, because I love that one-to-one or group conversations that they're having at the table.
All right, communications, ways to kind of get in contact with us, and then eventually teachers when the time comes. We do have a new temporary office location. If you have not already heard, we are at Generation Church, just like Ray said. That is right off of 42 East, right there when you turn off of 70. We welcome you to come. Our office hours are every day from 8:30 to 3:30, starting Monday, May 2nd, not this coming up week, but the week after that. We will also have extended hours there on Monday nights and Wednesday nights until 7 o'clock, because we know that some parents work and can't get there during those times. So please feel free to come in those extended hour times. We'll also have the uniform there, samples, just like we've got here tonight, so that if you want to see them in person or try them on, you can certainly come do that during those times. But we also welcome you to come with questions or anything else that you have or need from us. Please come by at this time or anytime. We have a phone number on the website there, but at this time that actually takes you directly to a voicemail. So we do not have an actual phone number. We don't have a phone at our office, so you can't pick up the phone and call us. That's why we say either email or drop by and see us. We'd love to speak to you. We do ask that if you have a question, instead of just waiting and letting it boil in your mind and in your heart, just come and ask us or just email. We really are here to help, and really we want to help, and we want to answer your questions. Also, if you have a question, you can put that on our official Facebook page. We ask that you not take your questions to non-sponsored ALA Facebook pages, and that is really just because we want you to have accurate information. And have it come from the people that are at school every day. So please do, though, email administration. And all of our emails, we try to keep those emails on our newsletters and everywhere that we can, so that you can email us directly or stop by our office, just like we said. So that's kind of communication for right now. We had some questions about communications with teachers. So when it gets into the school year, we are actually not going to use Class Dojo and other apps like that to be able to communicate with teachers. And part of that is not only to protect our instructional time and our teachers' time, but also I don't know what I was going to say there. I just completely lost my train of thought. I apologize. But yes, we want to protect that time. That does not mean that we don't want you to contact or stay in communication and have a relationship with your child's teacher. We do absolutely want that, and we encourage that. We just ask that you either email them or call us at the school when it opens, and call during their office hours and set up a time to talk to them that way. Newsletters. There will still, as another form of communication with your teachers, we will have them be sending out weekly newsletters from your actual teachers, and then we'll also send monthly or weekly, however, whatever the need is, we find out the need is, from our school as administrators. So we'll have school newsletters along with your classroom newsletters for your teachers. So there absolutely are going to be ways for you to communicate, keep in contact, and build a relationship with your child's teacher. We want that. We ask that you do that. And with us as well, we are a family. We want it to feel like a family, and so that is what we want. So we definitely encourage that, but that is how we would like for you to get in contact with us.
Also, at the high school level, each teacher has to upload their lesson plans for the whole week in a platform called Canvas, and so you will know every week what they're doing in that class. that also helps you know what they're learning and what resources you have for those lessons. Also, if you're absent that day, that tells you exactly what they're missing that day, and that's another way just to communicate with you. Discipline. As we say in many places, we do not allow bullying, but that also requires that there's some communication from student to the admin there. Oftentimes I see students saying they've been bullying me for the last 3 months, but this is the first I've heard of it. So make sure that if there is bullying going on, that there's some communication going on with our administration. We do have, it's called the Conduct and Consequence Matrix. It's on our webpage, and it just shows what behavior receives what consequences, and it's very explicit on what happens and what our choices are, and we follow that with fidelity. We do have a discipline program called yellow cards, red cards. Yellow cards would be things like verbal warning, written warning, detentions, and then our red cards would be like in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension. And so you will hear those words, Mom, I got a yellow card today. So you know that's not like the end of it, okay? That usually means that there's either a warning or some consequence in the classroom. Usually red cards are consequence from the school. One thing we discourage from our teachers is ever using large group discipline. You should be disciplined by your behavior, not by the class behavior. So that's one thing that we instruct the teachers, is that we never want a large class discipline happening. Also, that should not be made public. That should be a one-on-one with the students. And so we will train the teachers exactly what we expect of them, because the last thing I want is the kid humiliated because of a discipline issue, or the whole class punished because of a few kids that were misbehaving.
All right, volunteers. Somebody had asked specifically about the ID verified fingerprint clearance card, and if you have seen that somewhere, that is not required for North Carolina. So if you would like to volunteer on that QR code paper that you are going to get out there, if you have not already gotten it, one of the QR codes on there is a parent involvement survey. If you've not already done that, it was also on the newsletter. There's also a table out there for parent involvement. If you haven't done that survey and want to do that, or have any questions about parent involvement, we certainly encourage parent involvement and want that. So stop by that table and we can answer questions for you there. So, but if you saw that, you do not have to do that. You do have to do a background check. However, if you are going to be, if you're a person who has the availability to volunteer in the classroom and is going to be working directly with students, you will have to have a background check, and so we can give you the steps to know how to do that. If you will stop by our table tonight, we can kind of give you next steps for that.
Asking about what electives are available at the middle school, high school. So in 7th grade, there are certain classes that are required, which allows them to just have one elective, and so they're picking that elective. They also are taking a PE class that's required, and they're also taking a technology class that's required. And then in 8th grade, they get 2 electives to pick from. On that, also they do have to take PE as part of their daily schedule, and then they have 2 electives beyond that. In 9th grade, they have 3 electives to choose from, but those aren't just fluff classes that they need to pick, because they also need to have 2 years of either foreign language or world language, or they need to have 2 years of CTE, or they need to have 2 years of a fine arts program. And then also they need 1 year of leadership entrepreneurship as they get to their senior year. So they do get 3 electives, but they have to be wise about what they select as those electives, because there are other classes that they have to take in order to graduate. Yes. The question was about financial literacy. That is offered, and it's part of our flip-flop courses our senior year with civics. And so that class is offered at the senior year as they flip-flop.
All right, medication and allergies. All medication, including prescriptions and over-the-counter, must be stored in our nurse's office with the proper documentation. Each student, if you have a student that has medication, in the health office, you will have to complete the paperwork for that and show proof of that current prescription that they need that. That will be handled as soon as we get into school. We're not going to be receiving medication before the school year starts. So as soon as that school year starts and we're in our building, please feel free to come to our office and get that paperwork filled out. For our teachers, we're going to train them on how to use the WOW method. So we want them to, as students kind of come up and have concerns, we want to drink a little bit of water, take a few deep breaths, get some oxygen, wait a few minutes, and see how you feel. So that's how we hope to kind of evaluate how kids are feeling before we just send everybody to the nurse's office, so we're not, I just feel like going up there. I'm going to, my head hurts. I need to go. So we'll kind of practice that and instruct our teachers to follow that strategy. But certainly for medications and things of that nature, those all have to run through our nurse's office and have documentation on file for that. You want me to do this one? I can do this one. So we will not have a library per se, like a typical library or media special like your students may be used to if they are going to public school. We are hoping to have a section of our school that does have, though, a place with books in it that students can check out. We do have a checkout system if we can get that portion of our building set up. We hope to have a book drive closer to the start of school where you could donate gently used books that we could then put into our library for kids to check out books. So we are hoping to have some options for checking out books. It just won't be a separate special that they may be used to. We would like to have a possible partnership with local libraries as well, where either they could come out or we could have a kind of partnership with them. So that is library. Teachers are encouraged to have classroom libraries in their rooms, so that would be an option as well. Specials classes for the K-6 building, we will have art, PE, music, and technology and leadership. That leadership curriculum is specifically around our RAISE values, so they are getting that each week, a specific class just for that. As it stands right now, we're kind of still in the planning stage of deciding if our specials will be on carts or which ones will have specific rooms devoted to them, but that is what the special schedule will be. And as of this time, they will rotate through each of those specials each week. So they'll go to a different one each day as it stands now. All right.
Questions asked specifically, what curriculum are we using? And this is a very general slide. For K-6, our base curriculum is Eureka Math, and then the other one that we're using for all the other subjects is Core Knowledge. And there are some other curriculum that we use, but these are the general ones. And then at 712, we're using very similar ones. We're using Eureka Math, and then we're using various levels of core knowledge. For example, we're using CK12 at the high school science level, and then we're using Open SciEd as the 7th and 8th grade level. So those are our two main curriculum that we're using in our classes.
At this time, we are not offering driver's ed. Somebody was asking about college planning and what's the process for that. That is the role of our academic advisor. He will meet with students as that time comes to help kind of plan their process of what they need to take to do that. Somebody asked specifically about the science of reading. The science of reading is very heavily embedded into our skills block portion of our core knowledge curriculum. So it is definitely embedded in there. And then dual enrollment for the K-12 building, for the 712 building will begin next year with our 11th graders. So we won't be doing dual enrollment in 10th grade this year. That'll start next year. I'm going to let you have that one.
Yes, the one stance that ALA takes is there's many discussions that need to take place in the home rather than at school. And so if you just want to read that first one, there are some things that often our teachers will practice the phrase. I think that's a discussion for you to have your parents at home. And so there's many things that have been brought into the school that we are saying need to go back to the families, and that's where those discussions need to take place. You discussed driver's ed. Someone asked about getting ready for college and career. That's a program that we're going to be using to get those students ready. They do have a 4-year plan, and as our academic advisors meet with them, they're going to be setting that 4-year plan. Part of that would be classes that you want to take to get ready for college. We will be partnering with a junior college nearby and other colleges so that we will be able to provide those dual enrollment classes so that when they do get to 11th and 12th grade, they're ready for those classes.
Do you want to take a minute and see how many we have left? Because it's 5:48. Okay, we only have like 3 slides left. We only have like 3 sides left, so we're going to move really quickly through them. I just wanted to see how many we had. Okay, EOG and EOC testing. As a charter school, because we are public and receive state funding, we are still required to take the same state exams that everyone else is required to take. So we will take EOGs in 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th grade. Those EOGs will be specifically for ELA and math. In 5th and 8th, they also take an additional science EOG. So that's just like your regular public school. We'll be taking those as well. For EOCs, they'll take those as well. There's an EOC for English 2, Math 1, Math 3, and Biology. All of the other assessments that we will give will be district written assessments. You want me to take this one? Field trips, since it's pretty easy. Yes, we are going to be taking field trips. However, they must be approved by the administration and educationally based. Families will pay for the cost of those field trips. Entrance fees, transportation fees, all of that, we'll add it up together and then divide it out by how many kids we have, and that's will be your fee for the field trip.
Building update. Right now we are on schedule. As you drove by this week, you saw that the high school walls went up, and so they're just putting steel to build the floors and the roof on top of, and they're going quickly. Once they get that steel up, then the trade workers go in, and there are multiple people working at one time. The reason why the high school is lower than the junior high is because they can work on the junior high and then move the next couple of days over to the high school. So they move really quickly over the next 2 months. So we had a lot of parents going, is it going to be ready? And right now it's on schedule. So we're excited about that. It's fun to see that go up. I know a lot of parents going like, I don't see a school, but we knew that the walls were drying, ready to be raised, but you couldn't see that from the road as you drove by. But the next couple of months go relatively quickly because that's inside work and we'll be scheduled very tightly once against each other. But as we talked to the foreman today, everything's on schedule, ready to go. There are Connex boxes there that have things that are stored already, like, for example, the elevators, the kitchen stuff, all that's bought, ready to go, and so they've planned ahead, and things are on time.
All right, and this is our final slide here. So people were asking about, are there going to be more of these events? So we are wanting to have, our plan is to have something each month. We are planning for monthly events. If you have people or know people that wanted to come to this event and were not able to, we will have other opportunities for them. We want to share this information. We want to help families out. There's going to be times not only to get information, but also just to celebrate together that we are on this journey together. It has begun. We are on the way, and we are all really, really excited. So be looking out for those details in newsletters and emails as we share together. As people begin to walk out, this is where we're ending. Give me just a second. Again, we just want to reiterate again, thank you just for being patient with us as we answer questions and plan everything. We understand that this is a process. We understand that it can be scary when you're driving past every day and not seeing walls up. That's kind of scary, and we get it, and we do know that. And so we just want to say thank you for your patience, and thank you for the trust in the process. As you are leaving, if you did not pick up all the ALA swag on the way in, the water bottles and your bag and your pens, please pick that up. There is some right on the door as you're walking out, and then there's additionally some out on the tables if you don't get it there. As you are walking out, you're going to turn to your left and just kind of go out into our lobby. Feel free to roam around there and ask additional questions if you have them. And I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to say?
If you had questions that you wanted to ask right now and they weren't on the screen, anyone in a red shirt out in the foyer should be able to answer those questions. Also, if you have more questions later, we can answer those. But at this time, we need to exit so that the next group can come in. So thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.